What's something that makes you feel instantly better when you're having a tough day? Story 1. On tough days, nothing lifts my spirits like a good playlist of nostalgic songs from my childhood. There's something about those familiar melodies that brings back happy memories and instantly changes my mood. I also love taking a walk in nature. It's amazing how being outdoors can help clear my mind. Story 2. Reading this reply section IDK what it is, but it just makes me happy to see what brings happiness to the people just like me and you, who have lives so similar but different to ours. Story 3. Coming home and my kitty girl Whiskey scratching and meowing at the glass door like she hasn't seen me in a year. She then comes out and scratches the doormat for a few seconds. I pick her up so she can throw her head back and meow at my wife until she pets her. Every dot day. It's the highlight of my day. Story 4. Putting my phone away for at least an hour and going for a barefoot walk. We tend to forget what our health is based on. Exercise, sun, and good food. Always doom scrolling yourself out of problems because it gives you that quick dopamine burst isn't what you want to do if you want to be genuinely happy, although my thumb hurts from doom scrolling daily. Story 5. My three-legged cat, who has been with me for the most difficult 5 years of my life, literally saved me because he wouldn't understand if I didn't come home one day. And after the divorce and the pandemic, when my whole life exploded, protecting and caring for him was literally the only thing keeping me alive. Story 6. The way my cat, Merlin, would greet me at the door when I got home from work. Unfortunately, I had to rehome him not quite a year ago because my cunt of an ex-wife demanded more alimony, and I couldn't afford the rent on my apartment and had to move back in with my parents, who absolutely forbid me from bringing Merlin with me. He lives with my best friend now, and I get to see him once every couple of months or so. I'm told he spends about a day or two looking for me after I leave, but when I'm over there visiting, he'll spend almost the entire time either sitting on my lap or on the back of the couch licking the top of my head. Until it's food time, of course, in which case he'll head into the kitchen and demand to be fed. Story 7. My husband. Tacky, I know, but when I come home and he wraps his big arms around me, I feel like I can finally breathe and let all the weight off my shoulders. I have a lot of anxiety and get very flustered around people easily, so coming home to be away from people and just be with him makes my day so much better. Story 8. I pick up some takeout, usually Chinese or some tacos, and go park somewhere that is pretty in my car. I play my favorite music or whatever fits my vibe. Give myself 10, 15 minutes to cry it out, another 15, 20 to eat my food, and then take a walk. The sun and nature and everyone walking their dogs usually pushes me into a better mood. Story 9. That nothing really matters. We had nothing. 0. Gained life. 0 plus 1 equals 1. Then we die. 0 plus 1 to 1 equals 0. So the totality of life is net zero. You gain nothing and lose nothing. So there really is no reason to worry or stress out over anything because life was a free ride. Stubbed your toe? No relevance on the larger scale. Amputated your arm after an accident? Same. Won $100 in the lottery? In the end, it doesn't matter. This is both a negative and a positive in the moment. But in the end, no matter how bad life gets or good, it was futile rumination over nothing because you came from nothing. And in a cosmic microsecond, you'll be nothing again. Story 10. A few words with my woman. Honestly, we have been in each other's lives in some capacity over the last 23 years, and I still get excited every time she calls. To hear her voice makes the best days better and the roughest days survivable. She is so amazing. Story 11. To work on a project/hobby, to get really immersed in it and let the day go away. Doing a chore like laundry or cutting grass just doesn't get it done. Cooking is big deal for me, and something as simple as chopping onions helps a lot. Developing or trying a new recipe gets me out of my head. I have other interests as well, and any one of those is sufficient when feeling particularly stressed. Story 12. I'm thinking either after a nice drink, can really be anything I'm in the mood for, or when I'm in my bed listening/watching something. This one day, for example, was when I had just boarded my flight to somewhere. Forgot where specifically, but around when we were supposed to take off. They instead delayed our takeoff by spraying a solution on the wings so the plane wouldn't freeze up while airborne. This whole process took nearly an hour, or just about an hour, until we finally took off. Though this part was irritating and annoying, it got worse soon after we landed. After landing and parking, I was supposed to get onto my next flight that was supposed to take off in 15 minutes. So I was running out of time. I had just gotten out of the plane and called my loved ones and told them about what was happening. And they all said I wasn't going to make the flight. And sure enough, I was indeed too late. I did talk with customer service and told them what happened, and they gave me a new ticket for a new flight to my primary destination. But this royally pissed me off to the point where I thought nothing could fix it. I turned the corner to get to my new gate when I saw this little slushy drink place called Jamba Juice. One thing to note here, I grew up loving Jamba Juice with my grandmother. So seeing that while on my way to my new gate felt nothing short of a miracle. I got my drink, took in some of the nostalgia, and that lifted my spirits enough to keep me going. Soon enough, my luggage got loaded onto the new flight with me, and I made it to my destination, but much later than I was going for originally. Story 13. My fluffy orange cat plus Family Guy. One's a baby and the other's an original show, I think. At least part original, or parody. I'm thinking there might be some comedy in there. Yep, definitely some comedy. If it's original, it's definitely diluted. What the hell is the Cleveland show for that matter? All jokes aside, neither of those things fail to boost my mood or put a smile on my face on a bad day. Story 14. I ask myself if whatever I'm feeling is comparable to some of the worst days of my life previously. Clearly, it's rarely that extreme, and I remember if I made it through those worst days, I can easily push through this one too. It's not that bad, and start fresh tomorrow. Story 15. Snuggling or playing with my dog, calling my mom, or hanging out with my son, 30M. Those will cheer me up almost instantly. I didn't grow up with my mom, I 49F, just found her 7 years ago, but we're so very lucky to have connected with each other instantly. Story 16. My wife, gently putting her hand on my back, just comforting me, and saying, "That really sucks. I'm really sorry you're dealing with this. Is there anything I can do?" The answer is almost always no, other than a glass of water or a treat here and there. But she's the first person in my life that actually cares about me and what I go through. The first person to actually ask what's wrong without making me feel like a burden for even existing. That is something I wouldn't give up for all the riches in the world. Story 17. For me, definitely some self-care, whether that be going out in nature or doing a little bit of exercise. But today I was really struggling and made my first post on Reddit asking for some advice and instantly got the best positive feedback, which seemed so small, but it really lifted up my mood today. So finding a good community of people to have around you / reach out to, knowing that there's still such good people out there. Story 18. This past week, it was a message from a former student telling me how great his year has been so far and how much he misses my class, and he wishes I moved up to his grade. Another sent me a message telling me she's excited for her senior year and how she has several scholarship offers already. I love hearing from my former students. Story 19. I had too many of tough days as a top manager in 2 separate orgs. Started taking sleeping pills, Prozac, and drinking too much alcohol. Went to a psychotherapist who told me in the first 10 minutes it's not me, but I should quit my job instantly. The other 9.9 sessions with her were just wasted money. Struggled for further 2 years. Then I quit finally this kind of setups. Now enjoying the work from home freedom as a freelance developer. Less money, but peace of mind. My family is extremely happy with my new self. And I bet I increased my life expectancy by 10 years with this move. Story 20. Cleaning, oddly enough. I put on a relaxing podcast and just start picking stuff up. Unclutters my house and my mind, and I finish it off with a cup of tea and a nostalgic cartoon from when I was a kid or whatever I'm watching at the moment. Right now it's Yu Yu Hakusho, and I love it so far. Story 21. Thinking of my wife and kids. I feel like I won the lottery with my wife. Whereas everyone else constantly complains about their spouses and their relationship difficulties, we are very in tune with one another. We are the annoying couple that finishes each other's sentences. We've been a couple for approximately 20 years and known each other twice that. Our teenagers are well-adjusted and hardworking. Even our toddler makes the worst days better. Her tried and true technique, she weasels onto your lap and takes a nap. Story 22. I'm sorry that you've had a bad day. Hope you're already starting to feel better. What I do, and it has worked for most of my grown-up life, I look for stillness in a quiet place. Anywhere you can get it. In your room. Lock up your bathroom and sit there, on your couch, wherever. Think of all the things in your past and present that have gone well. Happy moments, some accomplishments that felt like a blessing, some even felt like a miracle. When I do that, I feel better instantly. I feel grateful for those, and I know for sure better days are coming. They always do eventually. As humans, you will snap back to what's going on now, but don't let yourself wallow in it. Think of the better times. Be thankful for them. Story 23. My daughter. She's 3 years old, beautiful, hilarious, and so GD smart. I'm constantly baffled by how I, a distinctly average person, could somehow have the best, most perfect child in the world. And I know, objectively speaking, she's not perfect. In fact, she's frequently a PETA, but I also secretly know that she actually is perfect, and nothing will convince me otherwise. Story 24. My dog. She always knows when I'm upset and will force herself onto me. She sits with her legs and arms wrapped around my waist and shoulders like a child and just holds her nose to mine. She'll boot me if I'm not receptive until I start laughing at her. Then it's kisses time. And then I don't even remember what I was upset about because dog. Story 25 bull answer, which is 100% true but feels like a cop-out. My infant son's smile, it melts hearts. Answer that is more accessible to everyone. Sugar-free powders you mix in water. There's ones that taste like Starburst, ones that taste like root beer or orange soda. It's way cheaper than soda and has no calories. The hydro homies will hate on it, but sometimes I want something special, and plain water isn't special. Story 26. I've had nights that were absolutely miserable be turned around by just having a 10 milligrams THC edible and playing video games. The other stuff just melts away and I can hyperfixate on what I'm doing in any particular game. Otherwise, I have so much mental noise. Also, having my cat climb onto my chest and fall asleep. I could stay like that forever. Story 27. Talking to my partner when I get home from work. We have opposite schedules, so if it's back-to-back shifts, we chat a bit while he's on the way to work. And I'm getting home to shower, do the bedtime routine. He rants when he has off days at work or in life as well. It's nice to have someone to vent to who's willing to listen until the frustration is out of the system. When I was single, it was coming home to my apt, snuggling my dogs and sitting down with them for a bit. I still snuggle them when I get home every morning. Story 28. When my kids say something sweet or funny completely unrelated to my current troubles, could be my students, could be my own kids, doesn't matter. There's just something about the innocence of it all that draws me into their world and taking me out of my own. Story 29. Gratitude. Insane amount of gratitude. Take a moment to realize all of the gifts you are currently in possession of. Your hearing, eyesight, senses, mobility, youth, wisdom, mental faculties. These are all things that are not guaranteed forever and are not given to everyone. There are people on Earth who have never walked one day on Earth. People living on Earth who have never seen Earth. People here who have never heard other people. Take a moment to really appreciate all of the blessings you have, that you are no more deserving of than the people who don't have them. I saw a video once of a man who had to have his voice box removed to save his life, and he knew he would lose his ability to speak after the surgery. Can you imagine that? Knowing that you will soon never be able to speak again? Or think about those people who lived encased in iron lungs their whole lives, unable to experience the comforts of regular living. Can you imagine that? Not being able to wipe your own ass, having to miss out on all of the beauties of life, feeling dependent and like a burden to the ones you love. When those bad days happen, I think of those people who have had limbs amputated, where I still have mine, people who are on the streets sleeping on a bus stop bench with a blanket over their heads as their only means of protection from the elements of the world. While I sleep in my temperature-controlled home ordering a pizza and watching a movie, I think about those people who grew up without parents, while I had the luxury of growing up with both. In those moments where I don't feel fortunate, I remember those people who are less. There's always something to be grateful for. Story 30. Just coming home. Home is my safe space. My family has very little drama. We got a bunch of cats, a fridge full of food, my big-ass bed, and TV with multiple streaming services. On really, really hard days where I need a laugh, I'll drag the teens to play Cards Against Humanity. Story 31. Naming cats on the internet. My partner introduced me to this. They show me cats. Invariably, they are cute cats, as rocks cats, small cats, big old cats, but all of them need names, and those names need to be just so. It has worked every single time. To brighten my mood at least a little bit, Twitter is great for fresh, cute cats, as are the various subreddits having to do with cats. The sillier the better, the cuter the better, the goofier the better. Those cats need names. Get to it. It's also just a nice moment of connection. My partner recognizing that I'm having a tough day and sending me one tentative cat with a question mark as a caption. I'll usually snap right into the groove and respond with, "This is Marshmallow. He's brown on his edges but soft and doughy and warm in the middle. He's very sweet but is always sticky for some reason." Or, "This is Frank. He's orange. He's large. He has to drink from a faucet because when he tries to drink from a bowl, he puts his whole head into it like he's snorkeling for clams, and he keeps getting the sniffles from having a wet head all the time." Story 32. My husband gives me back rubs several times a week. He always makes up reasons why he owes them to me. If he watches a football game, then he owes me a back rub at halftime. If he forgets to preheat the oven, then he owes me a back rub. If he doesn't put candy in my lunch bag, then he owes me. Anyway, the funny excuses he makes up for why he owes me are almost as good as the back rubs, and it always makes me feel better. Story 33. A moment of quiet reflection, where I can simply observe the world around me and appreciate the beauty in the ordinary. Sometimes all it takes to feel better is a little perspective and a reminder of the amazing things that exist in the world. Story 34. Occasionally, I will get a random "love you, mama" from my daughter who just started college. She's at an age when I see so little of her between work, school, and friends. So those moments when she's just thinking of her mama makes me instantly happy and peaceful. Also, she wrote me a beautiful letter for Mother's Day when she was in 9th grade, which I have framed on my wall. I will sometimes read it just to get a little pick-me-up. It's quite nice being reminded that your child loves you when they sometimes seem to be anywhere but where you are. This age is hard. Story 35. For me, a tough day is deeply technical and tedious. Sometimes just laying down on the couch, closing my eyes and letting my brain just follow its own path for about 20 minutes feels like a clean reboot, and I can jump in, ask the right questions to myself, and deal with the problem before me. Story 36. When I'm having a tough day, my dog knows it and reacts to it accordingly. He will slump his head down and look at me through the top of his eyes, as if asking anything I can do. Then he will come over and sit up against my leg and tip his head up to look at me with them warm, loving, doggy eyes. Then he jumps up on my lap and puts his head against my chest and raises one paw as if to say, hold my hand. At this point, if I'm crying, he will take my tears, but if not crying, I will hold his paw and kiss him on the head and tell him thanks for making me smile today, my little boy. He's so comical that I can't help but to smile or even laugh at him. He would make losers of these dog experts for sure. He does things experts say dogs do not like. He is sometimes too smart for his own good. He thinks he's a person. Story 37. A cup of green tea and some mochi. Also, it might sound weird, but my old work had a hamburger that always made me feel comforted, no matter how bad a day I had. It was a double cheeseburger with pepper jack cheese and jalapenos. I've had other burgers like it, but it's not the same. This one was like pulling a warm blanket over me. Story 38. A hot shower either optionally followed or preceded by smoking a doobie, but it's not strictly necessary. The hot shower part is the important bit. I'd go for a bath if I had a bathtub instead, but I don't. So hot shower it is, and it works reasonably well to make me feel better in the moment. Story 39. We have a king bed. If it's a tough day, I'll crawl into bed when I get home and just be quiet. Read. My kids are rambunctious, and the rest of the house is typically chaotic and overstimulating. So I have a hard rule that my room is the quiet time room. Eventually the kids drift in, and then when the rest of the house is quiet, my partner will drift in too. We all fit on the big bed, and we'll snuggle up and read or watch something. It's a great feeling to just be together. My needs are simple. Story 40. Sometimes I don't feel better right away, but these things help me. Walking in nature, bike ride, shower with the intention to wash the day away. Crying, singing very loud, and drumming with drumsticks on things in my house. Dancing, chopping vegetables. Jumping on my little trampoline, martial arts yoga. Closing my eyes and imagining my best friend laughing. Witnessing acts of love, giving myself a pep talk while taking a walk or break and validating my feelings and fears, resistance, and reminding myself how strong, resilient, or whatever I am. And I don't know how bad it will be, and reframing it so I can approach the rest of my day with a sense of being present in the moment. Story 41, hearing the Marshall Tucker Band. I am from their hometown, or they are from my hometown. Toy Caldwell lived down the street from me long before I moved back. But wherever I have been in life, whenever my mood was down, hearing a little MTB has always put a smile on my face and warmed me up a little. Story 42. Help someone else gets the focus off of me while allowing me to feel helpful. I also ascribe my negative thoughts to my middle name, Todd, and then tell Todd to stop talking so mean to Jeff, my first name. Kinda like, shut up, Todd. Jeff is doing fine. Help separate me from my thoughts. Get the negative thoughts outside of myself. To see I am more than and separate from my thoughts. A way to externalize them so I can deal with them more effectively. Might sound weird, but it works. Story 43. I think of Doc Martin, BBC sitcom, trying some horrible champagne. I think it's season 5, episode 7. He's on a date with a previous colleague. It's some sparkling flower something. He takes a drink and instant regret, punk face, but manages to swallow it anyway. I die laughing. Also a video of a monkey scratching his head and smells it, scratches his back and smells it, scratches his butthole and smells it, and falls out of the tree trying to get away from his finger. That one has gotten me through years of ups and downs. Hope this helps. Story 44. When I was going through a hard time, I made an album on my phone called Feel Better. It had photos of loved ones, screenshots of touching text messages, my favorite memes, that kind of thing. It was helpful. Life is much better, and I haven't thought about it in months, but I'm glad I had it when I needed it. Story 45. A good hug from that special someone. Someone playing with my hair. Again, people I love and trust that have my permission only. Highly spiritual, spicy time and sensitive soul. Something thoughtful. Words spoken to my heart and soul that the broken needs to hear. Those reassurance and comforting guidance of softness, compassion, vulnerability. Creative and original effort, ideas. to show or tell they are there for me and are a safe space when I'm too tired to hide my tears. The pleasure of their company, the very blanket woven to help cloak us from the fears. Knowing with certainty, erasing the self-doubt, knowing to your core and in your worst moments, they would never ever walk out. Knowing you are seen, supported, and will be committed to, no matter what you might feel like you are personally with or without. Baths are good, naps, hearing from them in a soothing voice, physical respite in the form of relaxing together, and upholding a mutual median of forever. Though I realistically know that life is not always fair, it's far too short to not be devout in showering them with my care. It makes me a happy man, and I feel like I'm able to not hold myself back because they are near, and they are a second set of eyes, a judgment I trust, when my sight or decisions are cloudy or unclear. Story 46. There's an acronym for HALT used for self-evaluation on a bad day. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Sometimes just being aware of what the problem is helps. Other times you can take steps to ease the problem. My go-to list, my bat belt of tools, consists of going outside, getting physical activity, calling a friend, taking a nap, listening to music, watching a comedy, journaling, and having a snack. Story 47. I hate to be that dad, but my kids always make me feel better. They take the focus off of whatever's bugging me. I don't want to put my problem on them, so it kind of goes to the back burner. They don't know it yet, but they usually have pretty simple problems. The problems of children. Those are a lot easier to deal with. They are the best at changing my focus from drowning in whatever my dilemma is to realizing that I just have to keep moving and stop feeling sorry for myself. Also, my programming background helps me break big problems into smaller ones that are easier to solve. How all that makes sense. Story 48. Last year, I got a diagnosis from cardiologist that meant surgery, a painful, long recovery surgery. I got home, I was going to mope and tell my wife, but she had invited our 3 and 5 YO niece and nephew to swim. I love small children, and these two are special. They ran out of the pool and greeted me with wet hugs. I got into my swimsuit and played and taught swimming for an hour. Heart surgery was the last thing I thought of. Children are the light of my life. Story 49. Going out on my mountain bike, but I don't really have any tough days. Maybe that's because I'm always going out on my mountain bike. Seriously though, have some me time. Get away from people and noise if you can. Get some fresh air and exercise, whether it's walking the dog, running, jogging, swimming. Just do whatever you like to do. Story 50. All of our trials are temporary and largely not as important as we may make them out to be. One day, even the earth itself will be wiped from the cosmos, with hardly a trace of humanity remaining lest we ventured the stars successfully. So why sweat the problem, especially first world problems? Story 51. When I had a dog, it would always try to get my attention or get near me for attention. It's annoying at first, but I can't stay upset with a dog and have to give it attention. Also, being around someone who appreciates me and is happy to see me flips any bad mood for me, especially if there is something they are excited to ask or tell me. Takes me out of my head and back to myself. Story 52. Just yesterday, after 7 months in a new job, thinking I was having no luck changing the ingrained culture of the company around safety, one of the young blokes said to me, "It's so good to see the improvements and things changing." That made me feel better. Story 53. There's a video that's very old, and it's 2 guys riding on a roller coaster, and one of them gets hit in the face with a bird. It is hysterically funny to me, not because this guy just got smoked in the face, but watching the full spectrum of human emotion play out in 10 seconds is just amazing. They go from joy and excitement to pain, to disgust, to confusion, and several other micro-emotions all in one short clip. And it's absolutely brilliant. Cheers me up every time. Story 54. Coming home to my cat. She honestly is the reason that I'm still here. Just seeing her little face and seeing how happy she is when I get home is so sweet. It's such a good feeling to know that someone loves me no matter what. When you spend most of your life feeling like you don't matter, it's really mind-blowing to have someone rely on you as much as pets do. She's only a cat, but she is the reason that I choose to go on. Story 55. Talking to and seeing my wife and our son via messenger video. We have to do this as we are awaiting the Australian Immigration Department to tell us that both of them can come and live in Australia. So far, we have been waiting 13 months. If you could eliminate one social norm, which would it be and why? Story 56. Being workaholic is kind of equal sign success, and work just to get to live and enjoy life with your loved ones is kind of stupid. Life is short. Why do I have to spend 12H working in a place to make money for someone else and be a stranger to my kids, stop visiting my parents, and just talk to my wife 20 minutes before we fall asleep? Story 57. Poor driving habits. Blocking the left lane, not using turn signals. Speeding up to get past, only to slow down once in front. Speeding up to block someone from moving over. Blocking someone from merging onto the highway. High beams at night when not necessary. Poor driving habits trickle down to people gradually becoming assholes to each other. We are in our own little bubble while driving. Story 58. Women needing to remove their body hair in order to be seen as feminine. Why? Because I think it's ridiculous. It's time-consuming, costly, can be painful, can lead to rashes, ingrown hairs, infection, and scarring. Edited to add. I know there is such a thing as autonomy. I'm aware that people have their own preferences and their own motivations. Story 59. Always needing to have new, fashionable clothing that you cannot wear repeatedly. This is slowly starting to change, but people still look askance if you wear the same thing more than once within a short amount of time, even though plenty of people have washer and could easily wash something overnight and wear it again the next day. Fast fashion causes a lot of harm. Story 60. Always needing to have new, fashionable clothing that you cannot wear repeatedly. This is slowly starting to change, but people still look askance if you wear the same thing more than once within a short amount of time, even though plenty of people have washer and could easily wash something overnight and wear it again the next day. Fast fashion causes a lot of harm. Story 61. People could openly say, "I'm only looking to have fun," or "I'm only looking for something serious when it comes to dating." Yes, you can have fun with someone, and it just not work out, but it would be nice to be able to know which people are going to hit 6 months, and one person thinks this is getting serious, and the other person is all, "Well, it's been fun, see you." But currently, if a person says they're specifically not looking for something serious or that they are, they're either considered a flake or they scare someone off. Story 62. Family pressuring their kids to get straight A's or berating them if they get a slightly lower grade. You'll never become a insert dream job. You will be useless. It happens to me while they brush off any external factors that could contribute, illness, loneliness, any conditions that could prevent me from studying properly like ADHD, to me falling behind. Story 63. This is a new social norm of tween girls being taken to Sephora and Ulta to buy face serums needs to be eliminated. Dermatologists are horrified. No tween girl skin needs anti-aging products. And these products are not cheap. I used to work at Kohl's, and every night there would be a gaggle of middle schoolers and their mom and sometimes dad buying the products that cost $1.50 plus YB use of TikTok. Story 64. Casually hating on and berating each other for differing opinions and values. It's why I can't get behind all the political arguments and pointless drama online and in real life. Let people be woke or not, have an agenda or not. Some people will be themselves and some will follow what they like. Story 65. I would say publicly ignoring someone who is doing something clearly wrong instead of calling them out. Example would be a group of people congregating in the middle of a sidewalk, forcing others to go around, or talking loudly on speakerphone in a public area or store. Story 66. Handshakes. They're gross. I don't know where you've been when you last washed your hands, etc. And so frequently the people who want to shake hands choose to do that right after I washed my hands and before I'm about to eat. And in the post-COVID age, why are we still doing this? Story 67. Shaking hands. You would think after COVID, not wanting to shake hands would be normalized. But no, many people, especially older ones, will still look at you weird if you don't want to shake their hand, especially in business/at the workplace. Let's face it, there is zero benefit to it, and it can easily be replaced by a dozen different rituals, both physical and non-physical, such as waving or fist bump if we stick to already established ones. Meanwhile, it is not only unpleasant in many situations, sweaty hands for example, it is also an easy way to pass on infection. Story 68. The norm of interpreting others uncharitably by default. That is the norm of assuming bad faith. It's everywhere, among everyone. People default to interpreting others in uncharitable ways. Online in particular, it makes lots of discussions, even ones that should be totally benign, feel like minefields to navigate. If you've ever found yourself preceding a question with something like, "I think I'm just totally uninformed, not trying to imply anything or step on any toes. I just haven't heard much about this and am trying to learn more," then you've been conditioned as a result of the widespread norm of bad faith interpretation. You're having to bend over backwards to minimize the risk you'll be interpreted that way. Because if you don't, you might be met with anger, hostility, and ostracization. Eliminating it would improve discourse so much. Just to be clear, I'm talking about eliminating it as the default. I do not want a world where we must naively tolerate actual bad faith behavior. I just think that should come after an initial assumption of good faith. Story 69. Small talk. I don't want you to ask me about my weekend because we both know you don't care. I don't want to hear 15 times a day, "Hey, how's it going?" because you don't care. People talk just to fill space and I don't understand it. I don't want to feel forced to talk about the weather if I accidentally get trapped in an elevator with someone. I don't understand why I can't just mind my own business and have you mind your own business as we occupy the same space. Conversations that mean nothing are physically painful to get through, yet it's basically mandatory if you don't want to be portrayed as someone rude. Story 70, telling introverts or less conversationally inclined people to just open up, or wow, you don't talk much, huh? Why are talking and speaking equated to intelligence or being interesting? I don't think being surly or rude is nice, but why is the norm to harass quiet people to try and guilt or annoy them into talking more? Story 71, littering. I know that corporations and companies actually do the most littering to the environment, but for the common man, it would be a godsend if everyone never littered at all. Everyone would be expecting a clean environment and location regardless of where they are. Imagine New York, Johannesburg, California, etc. without any trash, urine, or feces at all permanently. And it could lead to the snowball effect of companies also doing the same thing because everyone would genuinely be criticizing them instead of posting about it for a few weeks online and forgetting about if soon after. Story 72, non-committal dating. Dating apps in modern culture is designed to reinforce this idea of what if there's someone better out there, and creates a game of dating. I know it's not exactly new as a concept, but it's definitely something that's fed into by dating apps. It just makes dating so disingenuous and detached. And for folks who want to see if the person in front of them is worth investing their time in, it's just exhausting. Story 73, professionalism in terms of how people look at work. What someone thinks is professional is totally subjective. As long as they're not hurting anyone or have something objectively offensive, IDC if someone doesn't do their hair, wears casual clothes, shorts, facial tattoos, whatever. I'd rather focus on actions rather than looks. Story 74, treating workers in the customer service industry as inferior. People get away with treating customer service reps like absolute and expect a smile in return. Even the people who aren't outright rude to workers have some exhausting, dehumanizing habits, like constantly interrupting or not greeting the worker or hanging up the phone instead of saying thank you or even goodbye, that really wear on you after hundreds of interactions with customers. I spend my entire workday being slighted by other humans who don't think I'm worthy of standard politeness because I'm a customer service rep. But my level of politeness can never dip below 110%, no matter how I am treated. Story 75. Personally, the idea that a guy must confess first or they should have known the signs of a girl interested in them. A lot of us guys overthink/underthink whether if a girl is interested, it's why you see guys going nah when there's the possibility a girl likes a guy. It's not because a guy doesn't like the girl, but because of overthinking/underthinking. Keep it equal. The guy doesn't have to be the only one to confess. And I know girls are brave to confess. Stop trying to give guys very subtle signs because it will be interpreted into something else. Story 76. Ghosting people in the dating phase. I get it from a woman's perspective that in past instances men have taken rejection hard instead of simply moving on and wishing someone well. But it would be very nice if we could all be normal adults and recognize that formal closure is a good thing. And I, on the flip side of this, trying to give a few more dates before writing someone off as not compatible. You really don't get to know someone in 1-3 dates. And sometimes it takes a little bit more runway for a relationship to get off the ground, so to speak. We should have more patience and not try to find someone that we are completely compatible with on the first 1 to 2 dates. DLDR. I wish social norms as they relate to dating didn't suck so much. Story 77. I actually think too many people already disregard social norms in general. People in society today have become too lazy or too selfish to be considerate of others. I would not add to this degradation of societal norms by giving an example of one I would rather not comply with. Maybe more people should focus on upholding norms rather than eliminating them. It may make certain people feel good to not care about others' feelings, but it is selfish and rude. People like this don't deserve respect, but you give it anyway in a civilized society. Story 78. In America, performative working when you are done working. Just let me go home when the work is done. Different people work at different speeds. I almost never need to stay late, but will be considered lazy by my boss if I don't versus someone who does stay late and accomplishes less. Anymore, I just leave when I want, but I know it's a knock against me.